In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for joining our channel today. I'm Troy.
And I'm Nicole.
And we're the Swansons. Yes. So today, we're talking about all two-parent households ain't the same.
They're not.
But can you give us a recap of the last episode, please?
Small recap.
Okay.
Last episode was about my move to Kansas and why I moved and how it caused Troy to love me even more than he already does. Or than he already did at the time. Because he says now that he loves me more every time I do something for him. So it should be like a whole bunch of love.
I love you. All right, so we have attempted to record this video, and this is version 2 of the video because we realized that it was a lot.
It was.
And so we had to come back and break down what love in the two-parent household. So here's part 2.
I think we should also clarify that it's not necessarily a two-parent household.
Correct.
Because Papa Swanee didn't live with y'all, but it's a two-parent
Upbringing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So I grew up with I love you in the household. That was normal. Did you grow up with that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's foreign to me.
I know.
I can't understand that concept. Like, what's wrong with you? No, but it's like
They didn't love me. That's what's wrong.
It's like I don't understand growing up in a household where it's not said. But I think that also comes from
I think I'm
their
more
parents
the norm than yours.
Well, ask that question. Okay. So let me ask you a question. How did your parents show that they loved you?
I had to figure it out.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I don't think I thought about it much. It wasn't something I never said, I don't know if they love me. It wasn't a situation that, I didn't think about it. It wasn't until I was an adult and I started looking back at things where I could point out and say, hey, that was probably love.
Probably love?
Yeah, it's probably love. But having it never said or never, like I said, never thought about, it wasn't something that was on my mind.
Okay.
And that sounds really weird to me right now. But it wasn't something that I thought about.
What was your earliest memory of feeling or being loved, if you have one?
I don't necessarily think that I could point that out.
Okay.
Because, and I have memories that are, I have an extensive memory and I can go back to some stuff, but I don't know when the first time I felt loved.
Okay.
I can't really pinpoint that situation. I remember, looking back, I remember things like the year that I got the Snoopy snow cone machine. Me and Leonard could make snow cones. My dad was the only one that could actually crank that thing hard.
Yeah, that thing was hard.
To get that little piece of aluminum foil to shave some ice. So my dad would make snow cones for us. Yeah, I think that's love.
Okay.
But I don't think, other than stuff like that, and I'm not discounting stuff like that, but there was no I love you, but he said it that way.
So your dad was more of a doer of love than a wordsmith of love.
Yes. We discussed what I should and should be comfortable with saying, but at the same time, I mean, my story is my story, and I think that he felt that he showed us love because he was there.
Mm-hmm. You think that was because of that's what he was shown?
I don't know what he was shown.
We talked about
Because I'm working on this book and I've been looking back through ancestry and finding out about my family. There is a lot of stuff that I had no clue about, and nobody's willing to say anything or talk about. So
we're not gonna talk about Bruno. That's what's happening.
Correct. I'm not gonna right now talk about Bruno, but I honestly can't get a grasp on how he grew up at all.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fathom it. I don't understand it. Even in asking him, my brother used to ask who his father was all the time, and he gave us a name. My aunt gave us another situation, and a cousin is telling us something totally different. So I don't know if he knew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was told that this other guy was, or if he just adopted the name that was given to him and he knew that that name came from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how he grew up. So I don't know what his attempt was.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that because of his mother, I may have been watched as you're not going to have a bunch of kids.
Okay.
And everything that I felt at the time was stemming around like you're not about to get pregnant. And for him, that may have been love.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much for me though.
Okay, I can understand that. Listening to the stories that what you told me about your dad and your upbringing, he was a shower of love, not necessarily a sayer of love. And one of the funniest things that you told me that once your dad passed, you were saying that you didn't necessarily realize that.
I didn't realize how much he was doing.
Yeah.
Because
talk about the car.
My life, everything apparently fell apart. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that he would go when he went out to leave for work. He would start my car as well. But he doing checks. He walking around the car making sure everything worked. I never done that. He did tell after the first car because the engine went out on that first one because I never went to go get an oil change, and he was like, "So you didn't know you were supposed to go get an oil change?" No, you didn't tell me that. So after that, he told me every time I needed an oil change for the second car. I got how many tickets because every year my dad would go and get my registration sticker for my car. And after he died, I couldn't bring myself to go do it because it was his
That's what
thing.
he did.
Yeah, it was his thing, and I never had to do it. So, for the 3 years, the first 3 years after it was a whole total mental block, and I would have to get somebody else to do it for me. I think one time I even went over and let Bo put the sticker on. It was a whole situation. I had tire rot. I'm like, who knew that was a thing and what stops it? But apparently your daddy getting up every morning and putting air in your tire does. So yeah, my dad, he took care of me. He did. I can't really like I said, as a kid I didn't understand it, but looking back I knew. But I believe that in the end, if we had been taught love, he could have felt it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember a situation where, because at first he was diagnosed with cancer, and that first chemo treatment is what messed him up. It was too strong, and it affected his heart. So immediately he was in pain, and everything else was like all the stuff that he was doing, he couldn't do that stuff anymore. And so, but he was still putting air and stuff in my tires. Anyway, even with that, I remember him being on chemo, and he went to the grandkids were actually his real people, because you know, me and my siblings, he loved us, but he really loved his grandkids. I remember two of my nephews was in the program. Shout out to Aldersgate summer program. They had a skating thing, and my dad was a big skater in the city, and he went down and picked up my nephews and decided he would strap on a pair of skates. They didn't know their grandpa could skate. Wore them out. He on chemo. And they came back like, man, I ain't know grandpa could skate. Yes, he could do a lot of things. But he
was also doing
that,
derby, right?
Yeah, he didn't share that fun stuff with us because he was too busy trying to make sure that we were good people. Halfway ain't bad.
Jumping a little bit forward.
Okay.
How has love affected your dating prior to us?
Between my brothers and my dad, my BS level is pretty good.
What you mean?
Meaning, you couldn't really pull anything over on me.
Okay.
And it always served me well. I could see you coming, and I knew that I had a choice. I could either say, "Hey, I don't care about the little BS on this one. I'm gonna go, see what this about," or I could be like, "Nope, it's levels too high," and go and walk away.
That's fair.
So, I guess I don't want to say that you had the lowest BS level, but.
All right now. All right now.
But you're going to have to pay for that one. But, yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to say that you had the lowest BS level, but I always knew who I could bring home. And I think my family, even after my dad was gone, they knew that I wouldn't just bring anybody home to them. So when you showed up, everybody's like, okay.
So let's go back. One memory that you shared with me about your dating life and your dad coming up to the door.
See, we didn't have to come back and circle back to this
story. That was a good story.
We didn't have to circle back to this story.
He was protecting your love for me.
He didn't even know you. Still don't.
He knew I was coming to take care of his daughter.
He knew that I would pick the correct one.
Correct. And he wasn't it. Nicole was on a date. And her father came to the door.
I was coming home from a date, being dropped off.
And he turned on the light.
On the porch.
In his tighty whities. It was like.
And came and stepped whole off the door step onto the porch. And said, draws.
Depending on who you were dating, it could have went one way or another.
I don't think his memory is as bad as yours, but I don't know if he remembers.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's jump back forward again. How has love affected your marriage?
You do a lot of stuff for me that I did not see my dad do for my mom. You say I love you way more than I ever have in my whole life. Time
out. You had a lot of emphasis on way too much.
Way more.
All right. Okay.
You do.
Okay.
That's because we didn't say it at all.
Yes, ma'am. So
2 would have been way more. Not necessarily way more, but it would have been way more.
Okay.
So yeah. There was no affection, so I had to learn to do that because you needed that.
I do. Did ain't the right word, but yeah, I do.
Yeah.
How has love affected your friendship? Your friendships?
That's an interesting question. I think I'm a big shower.
I can see that.
And I'm not a person that takes your word for it.
Are you a big shower because that is part of your love language?
Possibly, because that's how love was shown to me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't said or talked about. It was shown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So we're gonna talk about this air conditioner and this heater.
What air conditioner and the heater?
The one for the house.
What about it?
That was love. When we finally got that changed out.
Oh, you mean the fact that you paid for it and it probably hurt your heart?
It did. That was love.
It was, because truthfully, I guess the whole unit and the replacement cost more than the house.
My heart just hurt just then, thinking about that.
Well, you brought it up. I wouldn't have never put the two together.
But they do go together.
Okay, so last summer.
It goes together for you as an aspect of love for showing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Last summer, it was like extremely hot in the house. And Troy would be like gone off to work, and me and Photo would be sitting here sweating all day, because it would be like multiple days in the hundreds. And because the house is so big and the unit we had was supposedly not big enough to supply air to the entire house, we had to do something. So it took a minute, but he was like, okay, I'm tired of you saying something about it, so let's go ahead and replace the unit. That's love. Is that what you meant?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We did the parents showing you love. Is there any aspects that love has affected your life that we haven't talked about yet?
There were probably some situations that I probably would not have necessarily gotten myself into if love had been displayed properly.
Like what?
Some people that I would not have let in the first place, or some things that I probably would have told prior.
That's fair.
If I had known, okay, that's not love, or some things I just would not have let happen.
I understand that. So love so going back to the original statement, all two-parent households ain't the same.
Right.
And two-parent households aren't necessarily two parents living there the whole time, but two parents loving on you. How it does affect your life and how it can affect your marriage, not even paying attention to it. But I also think that we also talk to each other quite a bit, hence the podcast. And we talk a lot, and we talk with my dad about love. We talk to him about the past, and I wish your dad was here so that we could talk to him about it, because
he ain't having no conversations. He ain't got to be here.
I honestly think that he would.
That's because you believe the best of everybody.
I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your dad is a G to me.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I don't fool myself with your fairy tales.
I love you too.
I love you too.
So is there anything else that you would like to add? Because we need to do a part 2 to finish this.
No, that's it for now.
So, again, I'm Troy.
And I'm Nicole.
And we're them Swansons. Like and subscribe, and we appreciate you. Thanks.